Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Coffee Talk! So today we're going to ask the question, who is really in charge of the United States of America? Don't. Well, if you ask most asleep people or politically left, they will tell you that Joe Biden is the president of the United States and he's in charge. But I have a very different opinion on that topic. I've been watching Biden his entire political career. And I never really liked Joe Biden and I never liked his policies ever. But I can say one thing about Joe. He used to be really sharp. He used to be really at the top of his game. He used to be a real opponent in any kind of political debate. He used to be a real front person for the leftist ideology. That man we see today as president is a shadow of the man that Joe Biden used to be. I first noticed his decline in 2019. You know, I used to run a care home specializing in especially dementia patients. There's a very distinct group of symptoms and characteristics that are common to all dementia patients. And anybody who spends time around them will learn to recognize those very clear indicators. I started to see that very early on in Joe Biden's run towards the presidency. And I couldn't believe that other people couldn't see it. Since then, doctors have come out and said that he's showing signs of mental decline, probably dementia. And we've started to see this now play out on the public stage. Joe Biden's illness, in my opinion, not a doctor, right? Just based on observation, has declined to the point where Joe Biden's not only not in charge of his country, he's not in charge of his diet. He's not in charge of his clothing. He's not in charge of brushing his teeth. That he has to have, at this point, a handler that follows him around all the time, telling him exactly point by point what to do. If you tell a dementia patient, even in the earlier stages, you've got a doctor's appointment, go and get dressed up so that you can go to the doctor. You're liable to come in and they're sound asleep. You're liable to come in and they won't have any clothes on. You're liable to come in there and they're dressed to go to the beach. That you have to lay the clothes out for a dementia patient. You have to tell them, put on your shirt. Now put on your shoes. Now tie your shoes. Eventually, you will have to fasten their clothes and tie their shoes for them because they forget everything. I had an dementia patient in my home who was stuck on a perpetual 3-minute loop. So I had this cute little Yorkie that was just the cutest dog you ever seen, a teacup Yorkie Terrier, Yorkshire Terrier. And he would come into the room where she was at. And she would see him, even though she lived with him for many years, she would see him every time for the first time. And she would say, "Oh, he's such a cute little dog. Is that your little dog? Is he yours? Is that your dog?" She'd play with him for a minute. She'd get distracted by the TV or something going on in the room. Then she would see him again, and it would be a repeat performance. "Oh, what a cute little dog. Is that your dog?" She got to meet BB every 3 minutes. He was in the room for the first time. She'd meet him for the first time every time. That's the kind of disease that I believe that Joe Biden is fighting, and this is where he will eventually end up. And he's somewhere between first symptoms and not being able to remember the people in the room with him from 1 minute to the next. In my opinion, just watching it play out, I've seen it play out in my own home with dementia patients who I was in charge of taking care of. So if Joe Biden isn't in charge, who is in charge? Many people think it's Barack Obama. So the main reason why people think it's Barack Obama is from an interview towards the end of his presidency, when the interviewer says, "Hey, you've had your 8 years, but if there was some way, would you want to continue? If we could extend term limits? If there was some loophole in the system that could get you back in, would you want to be president for another 4 years?" And he said, "You know what? I've had enough. I can't stand the limelight. I can't stand the publicity. I can't stand the pressure. If I could just make the decisions, right? If somebody else could go to the state dinners, if somebody else could fly all over the world, if somebody else could do the debates and the press conferences and take the questions of reporters, and I could just sit back in my sweats and sneakers in my living room on the phone and call all the shots and make all the political decisions, yeah, I'd love that. I'm done being president, but I'd still like to be in charge. So a lot of people have said that that is exactly what's going on. That Obama has found a perfect patsy in Joe Biden, a brain dead yes man who does what he's told, who follows orders, who says what he's supposed to say when he says them, when he's supposed to say them, and doesn't make any of the decisions. And in the background, Barack Obama is making the decisions. Well, there's another theory that it's our age old nemesis, Hillary Clinton. Don't. Some people claim that it's Hillary Clinton that is giving the marching orders for Joe Biden and telling him what to do behind the scenes. She's the voice on the phone making all the decisions. And I will say this about Hillary Clinton: she's behind and at the root of this deep state government takeover. And it started clear back in her college days. You know, Bill Clinton really didn't have any political aspirations. Back in college, Bill Clinton was just a player. He played the saxophone, he chased girls, he smoked weed. And Hillary Clinton was the one who dreamed of being president from the time she was a little girl. In fact, when she thought she was going to end up as president, she posted up a picture of her when she was little. And she basically said, the dreams of this little girl of one time being the first female president are about to come to pass. And then she loses to Donald Trump. So there's a person that wants really bad to be president. So is Hillary Clinton the one pulling the strings? You know, Hillary Clinton was kind of behind Barack Obama's presidency. She was his Secretary of State. She was ever present. They were best buds, right? She was more of a vice president than Biden was, because I believe Biden was probably already showing signs of slipping. You know, dementia tends to fall on people after they've had a very busy life and then they retire suddenly. That the sudden inactivity is a ripe ground for both Alzheimer's and dementia to set in. That the daily grind, the doing the job, the hustle and bustle is what keeps some old people sharp, and when that goes away, it sets the stage for mental decline. So I believe that he was probably already showing some signs of mental decline, but when Biden left the spotlight, when Biden left the vice presidency during the Trump years, this is when it really set in. I believe they ran him the first time knowing that he was losing his grip with reality. But either Barack Obama or Jill Biden or Hillary Clinton stood behind them and said, hey, if he can win, let's let him win. And we can just prop him up there and we'll just do what we were going to do anyway. We'll just make the decisions for him. Somebody is making the decisions for him. But I think the jig is up. I will tell you this. If you have some family member who's at the beginning stages of the onset of dementia or Alzheimer's, that they do not have 8 years. They're not going to be able to work their job for another 8 years. That it progresses. Both of those ailments progress way faster than that. You got 2 to 4 years at best from the onset until they start to need a lot of help. And so I believe they had this grandiose idea of a double term of Biden, with whoever's pulling the strings behind the scenes being the person behind the curtain, whether it's Barack Obama at home on the telephone in his sweats and sneakers, or it's Hillary Clinton and her clandestine organization that's in control of Biden. Rest assured, somebody is. And they aren't going to get 8 years out of it. I think they thought they were going to. But his decline has become so apparent that they can't ignore it anymore. And even people on the left are going, what are we going to do? Our man is not capable and fit to do the job. And then there's this really mysterious double debate that Biden just came out and challenged Donald Trump to a debate. You'd think being Biden is who he is and Trump is who he is, that would be the last thing somebody trying to get Biden elected would want to do, is to put him on the stage with Donald Trump, especially early on in the election process. That it very well could cause a downhill spiral if Biden doesn't do well in this debate. So why would they even set it up? One conspiracy theory, don't, or don't. One theory is that they want to go ahead and pop the balloon on Biden. They want to go ahead and drop the news on America that Biden's not all there by just showing it. And at the same time, they'll be able to demonize Trump as this guy who took advantage of poor Joe Biden's mental instability and just dragged him and raked him through the mud. But they won't be able to deny Biden's shortcomings after this debate. That Biden and Trump, when Biden was 100%, would have been a brawl. But Biden, the way he is, and Trump still as sharp as he is, it's going to be a trouncing. I don't see how it just doesn't look like a world-class butt whipping. That Trump's about to mop the floor up with Biden. And the only question is, why would they let that happen? Why would they volunteer for that butt whipping? It's because they intend to swap candidates. That their 8-year plan for Biden isn't going to work because dementia's moving faster than the political system, and they couldn't get him in before it became perfectly evident to everyone what we're dealing with when it comes to Joe Biden and his mental state. So they intend to just blow it up. They're going to blow it up. That way they can claim victim status. Look, we didn't know, and now we see what people have been saying. You're right. We've got to offer somebody else up. And they'll have a brokered convention right after that first debate. This is guess. This is me guessing the future. You know, people might call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think conspiracy theorist ought to be redefined in the dictionary as a person who gives you the headlines 6 months in advance. Don't. So I do believe that they're going to have to replace Biden, especially after this debate. That he will get so royally thumped that his mental shortcomings will be painfully obvious and they will be forced. Of course, this is a planned demolition of Biden's presidency. And they're going to replace him. Now, some will say they're going to replace him with Gavin Newsom of California. I find that to be a very difficult sell. Gavin Newsom's record as governor of California is so self-damning that anybody, even I, who's not a master at debate, I couldn't possibly say that I was a great political debater, but I'm quite sure I could drag Newsom through the mud in any public format just by doing a cursory glance at his job as governor. That the state of California is such a wreck under his leadership that a mass exodus of people leaving the state is ongoing. And yeah, it's just, if it wasn't for new immigrants, the population of California would be dropping because people are leaving. And important people are leaving. Corporations are leaving California. And much of it is due to the laws and regulations pressed and passed by Gavin Newsom's administration. His job as governor is so damning that I don't see how he gets elected. That it'll just be a constantly on parade what a lousy job he did as governor and how he has been an instrumental cog in the wheel of destruction of the state of California. So I don't know that they'll put Newsom in there. If he does, I don't see him beating Donald Trump, even if Donald Trump is running from prison, because Gavin Newsom's record is so bad. Who else could they put in there? Michelle Obama. A lot of people think it's going to be Michelle Obama. They're going to put her in there, and then Barack can keep pulling the strings from behind the curtain, and instead of Biden being his puppet, his wife Michelle Obama will be his puppet. I think that there's a lot of reason why they might do that. It's the only pathway I think that works. Because if Hillary is pulling the strings from behind, if it's her and Obama working together to program Joe Biden, the automaton, and push him out there in front of the people, if it's them that's really writing policy, if it's them that's really writing speeches, if it's them that's really making decisions, then they can't really put Hillary out there because Trump beat her once already. And Hillary is deeply hated. And part of it is because of her history of political shenanigans, her history of political manipulation, her involvement in the Trump Russia collusion hoax, her, her involvement in foreign policy that was failed, her statements like they killed 1 million children and that was okay because they got their political ends met, right? They met their political goals. So, you're gonna make an omelet, you got to break eggs, and in this case, it was a whole bunch of Middle Eastern children. I mean, the stuff she said is so easily mineable that honestly, the only person they could put up there would be somebody who doesn't have a record, which steers me back to Michelle Obama again. The only problem with that is that Michelle herself has said she wants no part of the White House. She never wants to go back there. She doesn't really have good memories of being the first lady. That was not a good time in her life. She's been there, done that. She's done. She's enjoying her kids and grandkids, and or I think they have grandkids, and but she's just enjoying life, right? She wants no part of this. So I don't know if it's her. It's got to be one of those three, or could it be Kamala Harris? I don't see them putting Biden up there and making him the candidate, especially after what's going to happen to him at this debate. Could they cancel the debate? Blame it on Donald Trump? We're getting very close to debate night. I don't know how they get past this. So if they put up somebody, who's it going to be? Gavin Newsom's got a horrible record. Hillary Clinton is universally disliked and has lost already once to Trump. Barack Obama is not eligible anymore. What about Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is also one of the most unpopular politicians to ever run for president. When she was in the nomination run in the leading up to 2020 election, she was, I believe, the very first Democrat considered to be possible front runner to step down because she didn't have enough donations. There wasn't enough support. She was polling in the single digits, right? And that kind of leaves RFK. RFK right now is polling in the double digits as an independent. But they really can't let RFK in there because I don't believe he's going to be a puppet of the deep state. I don't believe he's going to toe the line. He will openly tell you the deep state murdered his uncle and his dad. And he has had his run-ins with them as well, trying to be the Democratic choice for the 2024 election. That the reason he's running as an independent is because he was blackballed from the Democratic Party, even though he was a lifelong Democrat. And now he's running as an independent. I think he's their only choice if they want to win. It's him or Michelle, and will they get Michelle drafted into doing it? Will she agree to be the face of the New World Order while her husband pulls the strings from behind the curtain? Will they choose Hillary Clinton and gamble on that again, and use the vitriol between the two as a way of demonizing Trump and painting her as some kind of victim of the Trump train? What do you think? Put in the comments section below. Who are they going to put up there? Are they just going to put Weekend at Bernie's, Joe Biden, brain dead automaton robot up there with his zombie hands, and he can't decide whether he's sitting, standing, or crapping his pants? The guy that can't keep enough attention span to stay focused for a photo. He's wandering off. He doesn't know what side of the stage to exit from. He says things like some of the clips of him just destroying an entire sentence, not getting one word wrong, right? Not getting just one word wrong, not getting just hung up on or stuttering or being at a loss of words or can't find that word or that name. That happens to all of us, right? It happens to me. I do it on camera on regular. Put in the comment section if you ever seen that. That's normal. But it's not normal to go, man, know what I'm saying? And there's 10 of those if there's one of those, where he just destroys an entire sentence, is unintelligible. You cannot make out what the man is saying. And it's clear evidence that he's way beyond slipping. He's way past his due date, or his expiration date, and soon he won't be in charge of deciding his own ice cream flavor. They're still letting him pick what flavor he likes, but that gets to the point where a dementia patient can't make any decision. They can't. You know, the lady in question who used to get introduced to my dog every once in a while. I mean, regularly for the first time again. 51st dates, but on a 3-hour loop. I've heard social workers questioning her. They want her to tell them something about her care there, at my care home, and they're investigating. Not that they had a reason to. That's just their job, is to find out if they're getting good care. And they would try to corner her about her care, and she would have a moment. This closest thing to a moment of lucidness. She would say, "Several years ago, my brain was scrambled. I hope to get it back someday. I would really like to help you, but I don't really understand anything you're saying." "Oh, is that your dog? He's so cute." I mean, that's dementia in its advanced stages. And so, Biden is no longer going to be able to put up there and follow directions. He's going to get to the point where he'll have to be led by the hand from room to room. He'll have to be told it's time to eat. My dementia patients would argue and say, "No, I just had dinner." And you're like, "No, honey, that was yesterday. You haven't had anything since lunchtime. It's dinner time. You'll have to eat your food." "Well, I just ate." "No, that was earlier today. You have to eat more than just once." They don't even remember their last meal. And Biden is steadily moving towards that level of dementia, and it's wreaking havoc on him. And I can see it from a mile away. You don't have to be a doctor. What is it, the old saying? Bob Dylan song, "You don't have to be a weatherman to know which way the wind blows." Right? You don't have to be a doctor to see dementia. Dementia isn't reported by doctors. Dementia is reported to doctors by family members, by recording their behavior. So I don't see Biden being able to, for the people around him, to keep a straight face and keep pushing this guy that ought to be home in a rocking chair. And his biggest concern ought to be Judge Judy is going to be on at 3 o'clock. And it's elder abuse to see him put up for another 4 years. I actually have a lot of empathy and sympathy for this man. And, there's some prophets on YouTube that I pay attention to. And one prophet said that Joe Biden is refusing to step down because he loves the spotlight, and he can't wrap his mind around being sedentary, not being involved, not being out in front of people, not shaking hands and smiling. Like he wants that with his whole heart, and he won't step down. He refuses to step down. This is what a prophet is saying, that God showed him what's going on behind the scenes. So maybe that's what this debate is, an opportunity for them to put him up there to get really humiliated so that he will let go of his own desire to run again. Will it be Kamala Harris, one of the most unpopular politicians to ever run? Will it be Gavin Newsom from California? Will it be Michelle Obama? Will it be Hillary Clinton? Who are they going to put up there? If they were smart, they'd pull RFK in, and then we'd have a real run. And as much as I want to see Donald Trump win, I think it would be a blow to the deep state if RFK won in place of Biden, because he's the only one I think that has a chance of beating Trump. And worse things could happen than an RFK presidency. Like a Gavin Newsom presidency would be awful. But I don't see how he's electable. Kamala's not electable. Hillary's not electable. Michelle Obama's electable. RFK's electable. Biden is not. Will Donald Trump be our next president? Well, I kind of hope so. He ran the country fairly well for 4 years. Is it going to be RFK? I don't think he'd be a horrible choice. He's a liberal. I don't agree with everything. But he sees the deep state because, in his own words, the deep state murdered his uncle and his own father, Robert Kennedy and John F. Kennedy, both assassinated, one in office, one while about to win the presidency. So what's going to happen next. Your guess is as good as mine. And I think it'll all be hinged upon what happens at this debate coming up this month. This debate is going to show the whole world what's actually happening. Then they won't be able to deny it. And Biden won't have any choice but to step down. And the big question is, what puppet are they going to put back in his place? I won't even get into what happens if Trump doesn't win, what happens if they rig the election. It can't be good because we've had enough of the machinations. We've had enough of you putting this brain dead corpse of a president, Weekend at Bernie's president, up on stage telling us he's perfectly normal, telling us he's sharp as ever, telling us this is the best version of Joe Biden ever. Who do you think you're talking to? You'd have to be dumber than dirt to buy that. Tell me what you think in the comments section, and we'll see you next time on Coffee Talk.